Today, I'm going to answer one of the most asked questions I get on every single platform, which is, what are the most common Emirates interview questions? I was a flight attendant for 10 years, and not only did I have to go through an assessment day, I also had to go through different assessment days throughout my career to go through the different grades until I made it to senior. So no fluff. Just straight information. What are the questions you might get asked, and what's the best way to answer them? Are you ready? Let's do this. Before I get started with the questions, let me just give you a quick reality check. And that is that Emirates interviews are not just about what you say, but about how you conduct yourself the entire time. Even when you get small breaks between the different stages, they're still watching you. They're assessing your image, meaning, did you put makeup on? If you're a guy, did you shave? How did you do your hair? Your communication skills, how social you are, your confidence. They're basically trying to see if you fit their brand. Because guess what? You're going to be a brand ambassador, not just a flight attendant. So as a rule of thumb, just think that every answer that you give them needs to show professionalism, teamwork, cultural sensitivity, and customer service excellence. All right, let's dive into the questions and how to answer them like a pro. Question 1. Tell us about yourself. Classic, right? Listen, they don't want to hear your life story, and this goes for every interview I've had, pre and post Emirates. It's the same thing. They really don't care about your life story. You want to keep it short, professional, and really highlight the things that Emirates is looking for. So, I don't know, for example, I grew up in the US, but I am from Uruguay, and I've lived in different countries. That makes me a cosmopolitan person. That is one of Emirates' values. Of course, they're going to care about that. So it's about trying to pull those details, highlight them, so they know that you're a great brand ambassador. You can also mention adaptability or, your love for travel. If you've done a trip that you've liked, if you've had customer service experience, also highlight that. What I've done for interviews is I write a mini statement, 2 to 3 sentences, where I describe myself adapted to each job. So for example, you could say something like, I'm passionate about working with people from different cultures. I'm used to working in a very fast-paced environment because I used to work in blank job, or I work in blank job. And I'm excited to bring my customer service skills because I've worked for X amount of time in customer service, and I've learned all the tools that I needed to know in order to deliver the best service because I truly enjoy it. And I think it'll be a great asset for an international company like Emirates. Don't think you're being cocky. You can also say it in like a cheeky way. I was like that in my final interview, and the interviewers were laughing with me. We were having a great time. And I honestly think that's a huge part of why I got the job, because I was being myself. And I'm very sarcastic, as you've probably seen if you watched my videos. I love a little sarcasm, so I let that shine through. Sue me.
I'm not great at the advice. Can I interest you in a sarcastic comment? Some cheese.
Question 2. Why do you want to work for Emirates? This one is, everyone gets it. I got it. People I know got it. It's classic, right? And how you answer shows if you've truly done your homework. So I'm going to give you a small tip on how to answer this question. There are a few things you should mention or could mention. Emirates' reputation, global network, multicultural environment / crew, and commitment to excellence. You could also mention that you're looking forward in building a career in aviation because you're truly passionate about it. I said that, and I did well. And I was actually honest about it. And I did have a great career in aviation. So, hey, it's also about saying what you truly feel and believe because that shines through. Don't just be a robot, repeating these answers I'm giving you. Add your own touch, but do your homework. So, for example, the way you could answer it is, well, Emirates is the leader in the aviation and travel industry. And I'm really looking forward to work with a company that sets the standards for customer service and innovation. I'm also very excited about being part of a multicultural team while traveling the world. I feel like that would be so enriching for me as a person. And to be honest with you, it really just aligns with my passion for hospitality and personal growth. Please don't just write down and say it. Personalize it. Make it your own. You will forget it if it's not genuine, guaranteed, because you're going to be a little nervous. And also, it just comes through that it's not really, they're not your words. So make it your own. But this gives you the gist of what it could sound like. Question 3. Describe a time you dealt with a difficult customer. I got this question and I remember my answer until today. And I was working at a customer service role at the time, so I had so many examples. So yeah, that was pretty easy. So I'm not going to tell you, okay, this is what you should say because you should be speaking from experience, of course, but I will give you a method that will help you set up these situations. And my advice to you is sit down and write 3 to 4 of these examples using this method so that, you're going to remember at least one of them, which is what you need to do. So here's what the method is called. It's called STAR method. And STAR stands for situation, task, action, and results. To be honest with you, I used this method recently, a couple of years ago in other job interviews I had, and I also did great. So this is something that really, really will help you in any job interview. Here's an example of what it could sound like. While working at blank company, I had a customer who was very upset about the way a service was delivered. So I listened actively, apologized sincerely, and offered a small complimentary service to make up for what had gone wrong. The customer left very happy and even left a positive review. There you go. That's your situation. STAR, remember. Question 4. How would you handle working with people from different backgrounds? This is a big one because trust me, you're going to have people from all over the world. You're going to have people from countries that you may have not heard of before, like it was the case for me because every time I would step on an aircraft, unless it was a Spanish speaker, no one would know where Uruguay was. Everyone would always ask me, oh, but is that in Europe? Is that in Asia? Where is that? So yeah, you're going to meet people from all over the world. Small shout out to my Uruguayans who struggle with having to explain to foreigners where our country is and what we're famous for. Although you do usually get, oh, Suarez, Forlán with the accent. Shout out to you guys. I feel your pain. So yeah, you gotta remember, Emirates is multicultural, and what they want to hear is that you're flexible and you're open-minded and that you're respectful. Because what is going to happen, guaranteed, when you get the job, because we are already saying that you're getting the job, that's it, the job is yours, that's how you're gonna walk into this interview with that mindset. But when you do get the job, you are going to have a conflict or two throughout your career with people from different countries, even if you're not a conflictive person. I'm not, I'm very laid back, I'm chilled, but I've had situations where, maybe something I said was misinterpreted because the person was from a completely different culture and background than me, and we had to clear things up. And we were able to because I was very, open to the fact that, okay, maybe I offended this person. And then it also happened, the other way around, but what I always try to think is, okay, this person is coming from X country and, their customs are completely different than me. I also thought in advance, and this happened as I worked for Emirates. For the longer I worked for Emirates, the more I realized this, treating people according to how their culture was. So for example, I already knew that if I worked with certain people from certain countries, maybe I wouldn't be as touchy-feely as I would be with people in life because, Latin Americans were very much about like hugging, kissing, this and that. And maybe that wasn't the case for a lot of other countries. So I always had to keep in mind depending on where that person was from. So the best way to answer this question is basically by telling the interviewer that, you value cultural diversity and that, you're very open-minded and you're actually also very excited about learning about other cultures, but that you also always keep in mind the fact that people have different, upbringings and backgrounds, and that you're more than happy to adapt. You've done it and you'll always do it because that's who you are. I don't know, something like that. Question 5. How would you handle an emergency on board? I wasn't asked this question, but I did see it a lot in different articles I read. So I thought it was worth mentioning because, unless you were cabin crew before Emirates, for me, it would have been hard to answer, or I wouldn't have known what to answer. But here's what you need to keep in mind. What they're testing with this question is your calmness and your ability to follow SOPs, which you'll hear about a lot during training, and our standard operating procedures. So here are some things that I would personally try to mention. And number 1 is stay calm. And actually, trust me, I've had a zillion emergencies, medical, safety, security, everything. And a lot of the crew, even crew with a lot of experience under their belt, didn't stay calm. So it is important that you stay calm. So number 1 thing to remember to mention. Second, following training, because they're going to be training you for 3 months in order for you to be the best cabin crew you can be and be able to render first aid and, even put out a fire, handle a drunk customer. So yes, follow training. That's something that you have to add to your reply at some point as well. Prioritizing safety, of course. And this is important, working as a team. Because you're not the only one inside that aircraft. You've got a lovely team that not only are there to support you, but you got to think about them too. So, I don't know. To answer this question, you could say something like, if I were to come across an emergency on board, I would, first of all, stay calm. Secondly, I would follow a procedure. So anything you guys teach me at training, I would do. I would try to collaborate with my team and try to handle this emergency and communicate with them clearly. I will, of course, assist passengers quickly and work with the team to try and manage the situation effectively. You don't really have to describe a specific emergency unless they ask you, which I seriously doubt, because what they want is for you to come in as this blank canvas that they can paint over and make you Emirates cabin crew. I remember during training, they would tell us all the time, forget anything you learned before. If you're an ex-flyer, forget it completely. Ex-flyers are the worst people to teach because they already come with, whatever it is that they learned in their previous airlines. And it was true. For me, it was easy because it was my first time flying and I was very, very young. So whatever they taught me, I was like, okay, this is it. So yeah. Now I'm going to give you quick fire tips. First of all, smile all the time. Don't be a weirdo and just go no, but smile genuinely. Be nice and be kind. Dress impeccably. Grooming is so important. And actually, I have a guide that I created and it's completely free. It's kind of like a checklist for before the Emirates Open Day. You can download it. I'm going to drop the link in the description so you could just go ahead and get it. Be confident, but be humble, right? Enough said. And this is important. Show that you understand that it's a safety and service job. It's not just a glamorous, I'm going to be traveling around the world job. Yes, you are going to be traveling around the world. They already know that you're there to travel, but what they want to see is that, you can fake it a little bit and say, ooh, yes, I'm so excited about customer service. And, I'm very much looking forward to, taking out trash bags in the cabin and, dealing with drunk people. No, they don't want you to say that, but they do want you to, give them a little something, If you can show them that you're professional, that you're polished, and you can still make sure that your personality shines through, you're going to do a great job, and you're probably going to go through the interview like a breeze and hopefully get the job. I really hope that you found this video helpful. Please make sure that you drop any comments below if you have any questions, or maybe you went through the interview and want to add onto, the questions that you got yourself. Feel free to drop them. So it helps this beautiful community that we're building. I also want to thank you so much for watching my videos, and I truly hope that you get this job, because I know how cool it is and how much it did for me, my career, my life, and my personal growth. So yeah, I'm sure you're gonna do a great job. Best of luck. You've got this. I'll see you next time.